Since man started inventing, there has been a race to make the newest technological advances possible. From the humble beginnings, like the wheel, to what most people today consider technology, like a smartphone, the changes of technology has catapulted us humans forward in terms of capabilities and knowledge. While some technological advances have come from a more practical sense, others are centered more for entertainment usage. Let's start by looking at a technology failure. While I find failure is a hard word to use as the Russian gauge track is still in use today, it did however lose the technology race in North America. The Russian track, laying at a rail distance of 5 feet, was popular in the southern states from the early 19th century, with roughly 11,500 miles of track had been laid down. So how did it fail in favor of a different rail system? Well, the Civil War played a pretty big role in the decision. Oh, no, not that Civil War. Oh, that's better. During the American Civil War, one of the issues the Confederacy had was that there was no standardization of the rail system in use. What that meant is that it led to a lot of manual work for them to transfer their equipment and goods from one track to another track, which slowed them down getting from cities to cities. After the war ended, the US government took about 6 years, from 1880 to 1886, to decide on a singular rail system. The standard or British track succeeded the Russian track. The difference is about 3 inches in distance. So going from a 5-foot distance in track to a 4-foot 9-inch distance. The impressive thing is once the decision was made, the 11,500 miles of track was transitioned in under 36 hours. It's easy to see that the ease of use for transport was a huge deciding factor in making the decision to transition from one rail system to the next. Now let's jump to something a little more recent. I'm sure some of you don't remember Beta versus VHS, but hopefully most will remember Blu-ray versus HD DVD. This digital format war only lasted about 2 years, from 2005 to 2007. And it was more about the industry titans who were backing the technology over the technology itself. We had big game players, Sony and Toshiba, who released very similar high-definition digital discs for our entertainment. We also had backing by PlayStation, who happens to be owned by Sony, and Xbox, which was owned by Microsoft. We also had many other players involved, including a lot of film production companies such as Universal and New Line Cinemas. The first thing we should ask is, how did this start? It's important to acknowledge that this never would have been without the release of another crucial piece of technology, which is the HD TV. With the HD TV being something every person was able to afford, it opened the doors to the clear home viewing experience that we get today. Also, why would it take 2 years for a clear winner to be decided on? This partly has to do with cost. While Blu-ray had more backers, Toshiba was the least costly piece of technology to purchase. Therefore, it took a little longer to edge it out. At the end of the day, in case you didn't know, Blu-ray reigned supreme. Eventually, the heavy backers of HD DVD, like Universal and Paramount, decided to flip, which paved the way for Blu-ray to take dominance in our homes. Although another thing that we need to consider is that in my personal experience, I have not purchased a disc for watching movies or even listening to music in a very long time, in preference of streaming that content off of the internet. Therefore, we're just segueing into a new technology war in our digital format.